Hey guys, I'm going to make this real quick, but this was just breaking about an hour ago or so, but at the IDW Comics panel at San Diego Comic-Con just moments ago, it was announced, and you see the picture right here, that just as quickly as it seems Archie Comics and Sega are no longer working together, Sega has found a new publisher for Sonic the Hedgehog now to do the comics. Now, the announcement is that the comics will come out in 2018, although we don't have a specific date as to when there will be comics released or when they will debut under the IDW name. But what really, what really eases, I think, anybody's mind is when you take a look at the title in the picture here, the way the Sonic the Hedgehog title is presented. It's basically the same way they did the Sonic the Hedgehog on the Archie comics, very similar. Some will say that that's the common Sonic logo nowadays, and that's true, but the way it's being showcased is it looks very identical to what they used most times with, at times with the Archie comics down the line. So that's a good sign. They did acknowledge, in fact, I'll read it real quickly. This was a report at 4:15 Eastern. This is a report by Chris Adams at Newsarama. It says that IDW Publishing, this is the report, IDW Publishing has announced the acquisition of the Sonic the Hedgehog license for comic books from Sega. The San Diego-based publisher plans to launch a new title in 2018 with creators being hired now. This is what they said. This is Chris Ryle, IDW's CCO. He says, quote, "We've been speaking with beloved Sonic fan favorite creators and new creators alike and are excited to be able to spread specifics about our plans for the comic in the near future." This was quoted, but like I was saying, this was quoted by Chris Ryle, the IDW's CCO. Now, Newsarama goes on to report, and I think this is the same article that you can find elsewhere. They report that Archie Comics abruptly canceled all Sonic titles in January of this year, after publishing the franchise in comics for 25 years, or 24. It is unknown if IDW will continue the numbering of Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog title, which is the longest-running game-based comic book ever. The publisher has done so for licensed titles from other publications in the past. Here's what Ivo Griswikoff says. He's the CBO for Sonic, the chief board officer. He says, and I quote, "We are ecstatic about the partnership with IDW. We know they'll serve as a good home for the new adventures of Sonic, his friends, and foes." So basically, what everybody wanted, as far as new publisher goes, new comic book publisher, they got IDW. Obviously, IDW, the people in charge of the Sonic franchise, Sonic team here at Sega, the people at Sega of America and such. Obviously, they heard the outcry that if you're going to get a new publisher, get IDW. They are very respectful to a lot of comic book licenses. And as mentioned here in the article, they also have a history of continuing the numbering of the comic book as is. They've done this with Walt Disney Comics, so on and so forth. So that's probably the major question is, will it continue on? Will we get the comic as it was, just under a new publisher name? See, that's the one thing that worries some people is, will it continue on under the same numbering? The only difference is it's being released by IDW. We don't know that yet, because again, we don't know the specific release date as to when the comic's going to be coming out in 2018, although the only thing we know is that's going to be the year. Right now, they say they're currently trying to hire new, they're trying to hire creators for the book, which is a good sign. And one of the things that stuck out by the CCO, Chris Ryle of IDW, is he said they've been speaking with beloved Sonic fan favorite creators and new creators alike. So that could mean people like Ian Flynn, maybe Tracy Yardlin, we don't know. But if Ian Flynn's working with them, then obviously he's giving them a little insight of what to do, what they should do, and hopefully maybe what they're going to do is continue the book on as if there was nothing, as if nothing really happened. But yeah, IDW has acquired the license. The comics are coming out in 2018. My suggestion to IDW, if they'll hear this, is if you guys are going to release the book, if you're going to release the comics in 2018, start right at the beginning. Start at the beginning, the first month of 2018, and get some titles going. Get the book out there. And again, hopefully, maybe they'll continue on the comic as is, just under the IDW name, because like I say, they've done this with Walt Disney Comics and other publications, which they even mentioned here in this article by Newsarama. So hopefully they'll do that. And another benefit about this as well is IDW has been known to spin off licensed books. Have been known to do multiple spin-off of licensed books into multiple comics, and they've been successful in doing so. They have done it with My Little Pony. They've done it with Transformers. They've done it with Ninja Turtles. They have done it with the Walt Disney comics and so on. So they've had a history of being able to do this and do it correctly. What's funny about the report here is how they talk about how Archie Comics abruptly canceled. So Newsarama basically, and any other sources that report, any other sites and forums and all that have the same article, basically are saying, basically obviously taking shots at Archie right now because of the fact that they pretty much screwed up. And I think honestly that, a lot of people are reporting, like the Saturday Sonic site and everything, Archie doesn't want to is no showing the panel, or is no showing San Diego, except for maybe Riverdale's representation. And honestly, you can't blame anybody for taking shots at Archie for doing that. So yeah, again, you can't really blame people for taking a shot at Archie for not showing up at San Diego Comic-Con, because let's be honest, there's a lot of fans of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book series when it was under their license that are going to be there, and a lot of people, maybe even the people within the business, are not going to have very kind words for them, or kind anything for the fact that they've kept things silent for about 7 months, and now all of a sudden they're doing this. They're coming out with this news. And the fact that Archie Comics themselves have been silent about this whole thing. So, yeah, I don't think, you can blame anybody for getting on Archie for what they did. For along with Sega. I mean, Sega, does have to take the blame, because they should have at least, along with Archie, informed us of what was going on. But again, what are you going to do? But at least Sega was quick this time, not, stalling or anything. They were quick this time to get something going at IDW. And a lot of people felt that IDW is probably the best place for Sonic Comics to go. Again, my suggestion is for them just to continue the comic as is. Or if you're going to come up with a new title, at least, give us time. If you want to really get people intrigued with the comic, have it, just, to me, IDW just needs to bring the comic back, the comic as it is, into the fold, right at the beginning of 2018, and go from there. And if they plan to spin off, newer Sonic titles down the line, then so be it. I mean, there's probably no doubt that they'll probably try to, and this is just speculation, but there's no doubt in my mind they'll probably try to revamp Sonic Universe. They might want to try to do a Sonic Boom comic down the line again, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, IDW's got the license now. The only question is exactly when the comic will be released, or when they'll be bringing out the comics. My suggestion, again, like I said, is do it right at the beginning of the year. And hopefully, they'll listen to the fans and they'll be like, you know what, let's just keep the comics numbered as is. It is, and we'll just inform people that it's going to be under the IDW name now. It's kind of like when Supergirl went from CBS to CW. They didn't restart Supergirl from scratch when they did that. No, they just continued with season 2. The only difference with season 2 was now on the CW. The same thing with Family Matters. When it went from ABC to CBS, they didn't reboot Family Matters. They didn't start Family Matters all over again. They just continued on. The only difference was Family Matters was under a different network. So hopefully that will be the case here. And again, the thing about IDW is they have a very well-known, successful run with licensed books, and they usually sometimes, if the book is successful, or even if it's not that successful, they at least try to get people's eyes on the product by introducing spin-off books to get people's eyes on the product. So again, that's the breaking news here. IDW has acquired the Sonic the Hedgehog license for the comics. The only question is it going to remain, is it going to remain numbered as is, as if nothing really happened? Or are we going to get a new book entirely? Are we going to get a fresh reboot? My honest opinion is, I believe in this is my honest opinion. I'm hopeful that, because I look at it this way: the comic's been going on for nearly 25 years. It's the longest running video game based comic book. It says it is the longest running game based comic book ever. So I think IDW would be foolish not to continue it. So I think they're going to look at. So I think what IDW is going to do is they're going to listen to the fans, and they're going to listen to people that have worked with Archie, like Ian Flynn and some others that now kind of help them out. And then they're going to probably look more so at the fact that the comic has been running for 25 years. It's the longest running, Guinness Book wise, as far as the Guinness Book of World Records goes, is the longest running video game based comic ever. So they're going to look at mainly that kind of stuff, and they're going to be like, hopefully, they'll be like, hey, we want to continue that tradition. Let's just keep the numbering going, and the issue numbering going, and just go from there. So that's really all I can say on it. Again, the only thing that I think worries some people is we don't know a release date in 2018, but if they're hiring creators now and they're already speaking with people that have worked on the book before, hopefully by the beginning of the year we'll get the issues out, and hopefully we'll get a comic or something, and hopefully we'll get the comic as is, and just go from there. So hopefully not much will change, but if it does change, I wouldn't be too surprised. But I will say this: hopefully we'll keep the SatAM Archie characters of Sally, Bunny, Rotor, Antoine, Dulcie, you name it, Loop. Hopefully we'll keep them in there. And you know what? IDW, to me, is the kind of publisher that they have the money to do it. I think IDW would have no problem paying royalties to Ken Penders to probably bring back characters like Julie Sue and Hershey Cat and all the characters that got taken away due to lawsuit. I think IDW will probably have no problem doing that if they decide to. So yes, this is exciting news, and hopefully things continue on as is, comic book wise, and we'll just see what happens. And IDW, if you're listening, I would suggest, as a longtime fan, longtime subscriber and all that, keep the comic as is, keep the numbering as is, so there's no confusion, and just go from there. So listen to the fans, IDW, that have been with the comic for a long time, that love these characters, and that's all I'm going to say. Just hope for the best, and I think everything's going to work out all right in the end. Because honestly, now that I think about it, I think we might get a reboot. If we do get a reboot, it won't be that bad. It might be the genesis of a hero story, completed, as it was meant to be, and then they'll probably go into what was originally planned, but under the IDW name. If not, hopefully they just continue things on like they've done with other publications that they've had in the past. So Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.